I didn't really think that singing was something I was going to do. It wasn't something that, where I grew up in Plymouth, was the coolest thing to do. And then someone came around from a school in Exeter, a cathedral school, and asked my brother to go and audition. And then he went, was a chorister, and I basically missed my brother. And then I auditioned to go, and I didn't get in because I was rubbish. So I tried again, and I got in, and they took me. And then that kind of basically started everything. And then I was a chorister. That changed the trajectory of everything I was going to do. Then I went to, I was a choral scholar down in Truro in the cathedral there. And then someone said to me, you know, you're not actually that bad at singing, maybe you should give this a go properly. And then they got me in contact with the Royal College of Music, and I went up and auditioned, and then midway through my second aria they stopped me, and I thought, oh no, I must be awful. And they offered me a scholarship, and then I came here. When I finished my time at the college, it was a bit of a random kind of coffee break that happened. Some executives from Warner Music were having a coffee, and they were saying they were trying to find an opera band. And someone from the college got in contact with the college and said, you need to get in contact with Warner, get them some people. And me and Victoria, Monica, Peter and myself went down and we auditioned, and then we formed a group called Amore, and we've been singing as a group since January last year. One of the first things that happened after we signed was that we recorded an album called Stand Together, and given the year that it was, we recorded it with kind of the Jubilee and the Olympics in mind, and we had a piece, we sang Jerusalem, which we actually ended up being on the boat on the river pageant. We were the guys that got soaking wet in front of the Queen, singing the national anthem to her on her Jubilee, which was amazing. And then we also sang at the Royal Albert Hall as part of the Festival of Remembrance, and we sang a piece by Elgar called Nimrod, which is actually amazing. It's about not giving up, and he was writing it in a really tough time when Elgar was composing, and his friend said to him, look, just keep on going, it will happen. And it just went, ding, and he suddenly wrote this piece which now everyone loves, so it's quite incredible. I've always kind of considered myself reasonably fit and, like, you know, active and stuff, and I used to go to the gym and, you know, pump weights and, you know, do that. And then I suddenly started seeing two of my friends, Tom and Carolyn, who are now instructors at CrossFit London, and they were doing this stuff, and I was like, that looks insane. And they were like almost passing out at the end of these workouts, and I was like, that looks crazy, I'm never ever doing that in my life. And I refused to, and they said, come on, let's give it a go. And I was like, no, it looks weird. And then basically they put me through, I think it was pretty much like a kind of weird version of Jackie, and some rowing and some stuff, and I was like, I finished it and I was like, that was amazing, I feel so incredible. And they were like, that's CrossFit. When we did the Open this year, the box, you work out your strengths and your weaknesses, and in the same way, you know, I can do that with musical stuff and with singing. I think to myself, right, so for example, 13.1, I'm terrible at burpees, but I got through them, and then I, you know, power snatch, went for it. And then I look at an aria, Fenton's aria from Falstaff, and I'd be like, at the start of it, it's really easy, you know, take your time. I know that at the end, there's a B flat that's going to haunt me. So just, you know, when you've got, in the same way you go into a WOD, use your strength in the good bits, and, you know, take your time on the bits that you're not so good at. In the same way, when I'm singing an aria, I'm thinking, right, when it's a good bit, enjoy it and go for it. When it's a tough bit, technique, and it's the same thing. Mentally, I've gone through some really tough times in the last year, and knowing that I can go to a box and train with people who are now some really close friends of mine, who have the same banter, the same terrible sense of humour, and I can take that strength, not just physically, you know, when I sing now, I feel the flexibility, you know, people I think sometimes think it's just, woo, but I feel, you know, the gymnastics side of stuff, the toaster bars, which I was terrible at, I'm still rubbish at, but I'm better than I was last time. That kind of stuff opening you up as a singer, you have to feel, there's a difference between being like this and singing, and a difference between being like this and singing. And CrossFit, not as I said earlier, it doesn't just make you feel you can do anything, but singing wise, that same level of intensity with which you go into a WOD, I now take into an aria. Positioning CrossFit into my life is really kind of easy, because even though I have really hectic times and moments where it's back-to-back stuff, even in a changing room, I can pretty much, you know, do Angie. I mean, maybe not the pull-ups, but you know, you can do everything else. And you can give yourself things like, right, 3 minutes, on the minute I'm going to do this, this and this. I'm going to do push-ups, air squats, burpees, whatever. And you can always make sure that you do some sort of workout. And I think that's it, you know, they are just so high intensity for that short period of time. There's kind of no excuse to not be active and to not be doing something with your body. And it's actually really good. I sometimes do like a kind of half version of Cindy before, like a 10-minute, you know, before go on stage, because it just, you know, everything is it opens you up, and you know, then as a result you start warming up, you feel strong, you feel connected with your body, and yeah, it's not hard to put CrossFit into your life. It's not hard to put health and fitness into your life. With singing, I've always felt like there was something there in me, and I feel now with my teacher, we're working really hard and it's slowly coming out. I am, you know, 6'2" and 15 stone, and I wasn't making a big sound before, but now I'm using my body, and with the help of the workouts that we do, I'm more in tune with my body, I understand my body, I'm making a bigger sound, I'm using my body for something that I love doing. And that's like, I'm the luckiest person in the world. And I don't think that there's any other way of working out now that I would ever go back to, because that feeling on the floor of being completely, barely able to breathe, and being able to, 20 seconds into that, get your breath back, and this feeling goes through your body, and you just kind of go, it's all good, I'm okay. And in the exact same way with singing, you finish that aria, you finish an opera, and this huge kind of cathartic feeling goes through you, and you're like, yeah, I'm done. And I really can't imagine my life without either of those things.